Subscribe, hype, like, click the notification bell and turn on all notifications. And donate with a super thanks donation in the comments section below for the unfiltered, unapologetic SeanzViewEnt, your home for WWE news, rumors, and backstage chaos. This is where gossip gets exposed around the clock. Now, here's your host, the brash SeanzViewEnt.
Not one, not two, not three, but four. Four major stories in the news, the rumors, the gossip, and the speculation for my viewers, my fans, and my subscribers, as we are here to satisfy your taste buds as it concerns all things professional wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, a WWE creative fight for the ages that explains why one of the most beloved performers on the roster has been looking lost for months. A wrestling villain who just got nearly 13 years in prison for what he did to a current WWE performer on the red brand of Raw. A deeply personal story, breaking news on the late, great Eddie Guerrero, and the loss of one of the most important names in the wrestling business. And not only the wrestling business, but also in wrestling history, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to SeanzViewEnt, your home for WWE news, rumors, and speculation in the tabloid lane. Everything you are about to hear is coverage and entertainment. Let's get into it. Let's start with Sami Zayn. Backstage, the story behind his recent character work is much more interesting than what we have seen on television. If you've been watching SmackDown lately, you'll know that Sami Zayn has been doing a slow burn character shift. He stole Carmelo Hayes' WrestleMania spot for the U.S. title, lost the title to Trick Williams, and then in one of the most bizarre segments WWE had produced in years, he attacked and killed a gingerbread man mascot on SmackDown. And here's what you may not know. What you may not know, ladies and gentlemen. Multiple members of the WWE creative reportedly pushed back hard against the gingerbread man angle. And according to WrestleVotes via Fightful, people inside the creative team described the whole concept as, quote, hokey and stupid. There were significant internal disagreements about the direction of the entire program. So here you have Sami Zayn, one of the best promo guys on the entire roster, pushing for something layered and interesting, and creative fighting him on the way, the whole way. And when Sami Zayn was asked publicly if he ever turned heel, fully heel, he said flat out, I'll disagree with that statement. I don't think I have. He wanted to blur the lines, split the audience, and do something different. Did it fully work? Well, not entirely. And Sami admitted that himself. Sometimes things just don't work out exactly how you envision it, but the creative conflict is real. The gingerbread man is dead, and Sami Zayn's next chapter is generally unpredictable right now, which in WWE is actually a rare thing. But viewers, fans, and subscribers, remember to like, hype, click the bell, turn on all notifications for more videos around the clock. We do multiple videos a day to give you the need, the seed. We feed you what you want to be fed here on SeanzViewEnt Entertainment, because that's what she said. But let's talk about a story that has been 3 years in the making. And today, ladies and gentlemen, according to the dirt sheets, the websites, and the newsletters, well, justice has finally been served, and it has been served up cold as it concerns one former women's world champion of the red brand on Raw on Netflix, Stephanie Vaquer. In March of 2023, while Stephanie Vaquer was still wrestling in CMLL in Mexico, her then boyfriend attacked her inside her apartment. He grabbed her by the throat and attempted to strangle her. She called the police, filed a complaint, and then provided photographs showing visible marks on her neck. Those photographs became key evidence in the case. Now, ladies and gentlemen, she has fought 3 years for this moment, and today the verdict is in. Stephanie Vaquer is the first South American woman to win a world title in the WWE. She held the Women's World Championship for 210 days. She is one of the most important performers in the company, and she deserves every bit of this. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it seems as if that this sentence, now, he had already spent approximately 2 years in custody during the legal process. That time counts towards the sentence. However, reports indicate that Vaquer's legal team is expected to appeal the punishment, feeling that the sentence should be longer. But that long sentence has come down right here and right now, because we're receiving word, according to the dirt sheets and the websites, sentenced to nearly 13 years in prison. Also, the original plans for the Dark Side of the Ring Season 7 3-part TNA story revealed online. Also, Bully Ray gets hit with a community note after claiming Eddie Guerrero tribute incident was a work. Indie wrestler accuses WWE of stealing his heavy metal gimmick for Lizzie Rain. Also, ladies and gentlemen, Sami Zayn fighting with WWE Creative over his heel turn plans, and AEW abandoned plans for a major Kenny Omega feud. People unhappy with WWE's involvement are more favorable towards Stephen A. Smith than they were about Pat McAfee's involvement as it concerns celebrity status. Also, breaking news on the current reigning World Heavyweight Champion, Roman Reigns. Now, we all know that Roman Reigns was originally pinned to be at multiple events, every Raw, right? He was going to be there every week. He was supposed to be there the whole month of May, the whole month of June, right? Well, that was an update to the situation. However, footage shows Roman Reigns possibly injured after a brutal Raw attack from Jacob Fatu. Now, this could sideline. This could put Roman Reigns on the bench for the foreseeable future. Is Roman Reigns, now that he's injured, now that Roman Reigns is hurt, is Roman Reigns going to have to relinquish the World Heavyweight Championship? Your thoughts, your comments. Will Roman Reigns have to vacate it due to injury? This would not be the first time that Roman Reigns has to vacate a championship, a title. First, it was cancer and sickness. We all know Roman Reigns had to give up the WWE Universal title on Raw back on the USA Network. Several years ago, Roman Reigns' leukemia came back, his cancer came back. Roman Reigns had to forfeit the title. Roman Reigns had to give up the title. Is Roman Reigns going to have to do that same damn thing so many years later? Only now, it's not as serious as the leukemia, but it could be a very serious injury at the hands of Jacob Fatu. Will Roman Reigns have to give up the WWE World Heavyweight Championship? Your thoughts, your comments, and your opinion. Now, the next story is one of the most emotionally charged things I have covered in a long time, and I want to handle it with the respect that it deserves, because this is one about a young woman sharing her truth, and it involves a name that will never be simple to talk about. Eddie Guerrero's daughter has opened up publicly about her personal experience with the late Chris Benoit, and what she said is complicated and important. She said that to her, growing up, Chris Benoit was an uncle. Her words, Chris Benoit was an uncle to me, truly. I never had any bad experience. Now, before we go any further, let me be absolutely clear about what this video is about and what it isn't. We aren't here to rehabilitate Chris Benoit. We aren't here to debate about what he did or minimize it. What happened in June of 2007 was a tragedy that took the lives of Nancy, Daniel Benoit. That is a fact. That is real, and nothing changes it. When Sherlyn is sharing her own personal experience, her own personal memory, her own truth, and here is the important context. Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero were best friends. They traveled together, worked together, supported each other through the lowest moments of their careers in their lives. When Eddie Guerrero passed away in November of 2005, Chris Benoit reportedly sat in Eddie's workout room and cried. Vicky Guerrero has said publicly that Benoit was devastated by Eddie's death and showed it deeply and openly. Now, Sherlyn grew up around all of this. Benoit was in her life as a child and as an adult. She is choosing to speak about her own experience honestly. Now, that takes courage to say publicly this person meant something to someone, and this person meant something to me personally. While understanding fully what the rest of the world knows about him, this is not a simple thing to carry. Wrestling has always been a world where the human being inside and the human beings inside it are complicated. Real love and tragedy can exist in the same story. And Sherlyn Guerrero, Eddie's daughter, is navigating that in public, and she deserves the space to do it, in my estimation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we lost someone very important to the wrestling world this week. Ladies and gentlemen, Barry Blaustein, the director of Beyond the Mat, remember that movie? Yeah, remember that? Has passed away at the age of 72. If you've never seen Beyond the Mat, stop this video right now and go watch it. I remember going to the movie theaters. I remember going to watch that with my cousin. I remember going to watch that with my mother. I remember going to watch that. And boy, that really opened up my eyes to the wrestlers, to the stories. It gave the world an honest, unfiltered look inside professional wrestling at a time when kayfabe was still alive. It followed Mick Foley, the late, great Terry Funk, Jake the Snake, and it captured what was raw, human, and real in a way that most wrestling content never gets to be. The film was one of 12 finalists for the Academy Award for Best Documentary. Roddy Piper called it the best documentary ever made on professional wrestling. And Barry, the man that just passed away, that died, ladies and gentlemen, always said, quote, the favorite thing he had ever done. He also was the writer behind Eddie Murphy's Buckwheat and Gumby sketches on Saturday Night Live. He co-wrote Coming to America and The Nutty Professor. He had a career that spanned decades across film, television, and education. If Beyond the Mat had never been made, a generation of wrestling fans would have grown up never knowing the full human cost of what these people of what the people they cheered for put into the business. Barry gave us that, and wrestling owes him a debt it can never fully repay. Rest in peace, Barry. Thank you for going beyond the mat. And that is where we are at here on Sean's View Entertainment, where we escalate it and we dominate it and we illustrate it because we truly do believe in the viewers, the fans, and the subscribers. Also, ladies and gentlemen, Trick Williams receives a huge honor as South Carolina declares May 12 as Trick Williams Day. And also, ladies and gentlemen, last but certainly not least, WWE NXT preview for tonight. Make sure to catch it. Make sure to go watch it because it should be very compelling and entertaining. Moreover so than Monday Night Raw. Subscribe with plenty more to come from the brash and the brazen. Where, well, if it's not brash, well, then you know it's absolute trash. Later.